You're listening to the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast, a place for inspiration, empowerment, and personal development, showcasing badass women from all over the world, giving tips on personal development, mindset, and healing. I'm your host, Olivia, transformational success coach for spiritual female entrepreneurs. Now let's dive into this episode. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. Well, guys, it's a wrap. This is the end of season 7. And as always, I'm going to do a little reflection on how this season went. So just being honest, this season did not get as many downloads as the previous season. I also had less episodes, but it's okay. I think that the people that heard what they needed to hear heard it. And I'm going to just go through some of the most popular podcasts, the most downloaded, and talk about what I got coming up next. So one of the most downloaded podcasts was a solo podcast done by me. And it was how to be your authentic self as an empath. You know, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. When I record some of these podcasts, so I put this out in May. It's July. I probably will have to go back and listen to this myself because I forgot what I said. And it's not like it wasn't good information. It's just, I realized I put out so much content on so many different platforms, on so many different things. Like I make a bunch of reels. I do stuff for Relentless Glory. I do stuff for my YouTube channel. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. So this was, I'm actually, okay, guys, I'm turning 30 next week. And I'm realizing that there's things that I want to let go of in my life. This podcast is not it. I'm going to just let you know that. But it's going to definitely be like the overproducing of content is probably going to be the thing, because I'm like, the fact that I can't even remember what I said, like what that one sounds like is crazy to me. And it's like, I did it by myself. It's funny. I remember the conversations I have with other people so much more, which goes to the next most downloaded one, which was health benefits of genetic testing and the power of protein with NutriTots CEO, Dr. Haley Arnold. And I'm going to be honest, I really feel like this one got as many downloads as it did because I posted it on TikTok. Like I posted a clip of it on TikTok and it got like 22,000 views on it. So I definitely think that had to do with this. I definitely think that had to do with this. It's a really good podcast. It is. I learned a lot. It's because I always used to say you are what you eat, but now it's no, you are what you digest. And that's one of the things that we talked about and other things. She makes protein for children, like protein, like bars and stuff like that for kids. It's super cool. The next one was Healing from Betrayal and Trusting Again with the founder of the PBT, which is the Post-Betrayal Transformation Institute, Dr. Debbie Silber. Listen, let me just tell you, this woman has been on TEDx, Dr. Oz, the American Cancer Society, like so many places, Women's Health, all of these places. She's been focusing on betrayal for a really, really long time. And it's so cool, like how she broke it down. I felt like, you know what, she gave so much value in this podcast. So have you not heard it, definitely go and check it out. It's season 7, episode 3. It came out May 11th. Really, really good. Because most people have had a serious betrayal that they've continued to hold on to, and it showed up in different areas of their lives. And just her knowledge, I'm just like, how do I get the honor to talk to some of these people? Seriously. The next one, which actually tied with Dr. Debbie's podcast, was Becoming the Best Version of Yourself Regardless of Your Background with Leticia Garcia. Listen, I love her. She is one of my favorite guests that I've had ever. We're those type of people that we can just, I talk and it's like, I've known her for a long time. She had her daughter at the age of 14, and like her first daughter, and her daughter's 28 now. And she's just, you just have to listen to that podcast, because if you feel like some of these people you can't relate to because your life might be harder, or you didn't have the same opportunities, this podcast right here, this one right here really shows that regardless of what their circumstances have been, you can change your future, and you can have excellence in your own life regardless of your upbringing. And I just, oh my goodness, it was so good, so good. And then the next one was how to get back on track, which was another solo podcast, and I think it was helpful to people. Now I do remember this one because it's so easy to like fall off a track, especially like if you're traveling and doing all the things and the season's changing, like if you have kids, they're out of school, a lot of your schedule runs around your children, or if you've got just life can throw things off track. So knowing how to get back on track, knowing what things that you need to let go of, what things aren't serving you, that I found that to be really helpful for myself, and other people found it helpful as well. So I will say, I also have been putting my podcast on YouTube. So if you would like to see most of them, okay, solo ones, I don't necessarily put the video part, but I put the audio. If you just go to YouTube more, if that's your thing, or if you're listening to this one right now on YouTube, the reason I don't do show my like video that much is because I'm not looking at the camera when I'm talking. So it's just a little, it's not. And if you could see what I looked like right now, you'd be like, Olivia, I don't know. You might not be, but because I literally just got done with a like 2-mile walk. I was doing emails, my no makeup on, nothing, not the normal aesthetic. So it's just more convenient to not show my face on a lot of these solo podcasts, because I just like go off the cuff. But I digress. That's not even important. What's coming up next? What is coming up next? Okay. So I've got some pretty heavy hitters coming up. And I don't even know how I get some of these people. So I've got next week, I have an actor which if you're listening to this way after the fact, it's coming out August 3rd, which is actually my 30th birthday. And he is an actor that has been acting and modeling for 36 years. And so we're talking about confidence and resilience, and just like it's a really good podcast. I'm excited for that one to come out. I also have one coming out in September with the vice president of global marketing operations for Google. And we're talking about having a good divorce. She is a high-level female that had a divorce, and actually had a good divorce. And we talked, listen, that's such a good podcast. I'm so pumped for it. Another one that I have coming out that's coming to mind is one with an illustrator. We talk about using creativity to parlaying creativity is how she put it. And, really creating the life you want. But I also talk about, this is really one for creators. She has a company that is doing some pretty big stuff. She's an agent for like illustrators and graphic designers. And right now she recently got a pretty big deal with Nick Jr. to do some work for them. So that's super cool, super, super cool stuff coming up. And like I said, it's just an honor to get to meet these guests. It really is. Just to get to spend time with them. And I think if you're an avid, loyal listener, I just want to thank you I want to thank you so much for coming back and listening to the podcast and, tuning in. And I really appreciate you, because if you weren't there, if you weren't here, I mean, why would I, do this? Because I am putting this stuff out for people to gain, something from it. These are pretty good conversations, in my honest opinion. So if you find this podcast valuable at all, please definitely share it with your friends, share it with your family members or whatever, anybody that you think would find it valuable as well. And yeah, if there's anything that you would particularly like to hear from me in the future or my guest in the future, definitely send me an email. It's in my show notes, but it's olivia@oliviatmcook.com. That's where you can email me, and I email back pretty fast. As long as it's not in the middle of the night, and just let me know suggestion, podcast suggestion, title it that or something like that. Also on the coaching realm, I have a workshop that is going to come up pretty soon. It's called the Get Your Stuff Together workshop. I'm going to put the waiting list information down below. For the people that enjoyed the Getting Back on Track podcast, for the people that, are finding, this next season is going to be, it might be pretty difficult to get back in the groove of things. It's made for female entrepreneurs and content creators. I'm focusing on productivity, mindset, and helping them use their menstrual cycles to their benefit. So if you're interested in that sounds like you, definitely click the link below to sign up for the waiting list. And as always, go out and be a badass. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. If you found any value in this, please consider sharing and subscribing. Now go out and be a badass.